Two Jews talking about movies, or as we call it, business as usual here at the Bagel Bakery. All right, buddy. Are you ready? Are you reading Henry Cavill's statements to the world?
Was just looking at Henry Cavill stuff.
That's fucking hilarious. I was just reading that too.
I saw it yesterday, but it's on Instagram a lot. So a lot of people just having their own opinions on it.
It's a big fucking deal, dude.
And you know what I'm learning?
What's that?
A lot of people don't deserve to have an opinion on things. So that's all.
What do you mean? Explain. Like,
people are stupid. That's all.
You mean just a normal fan?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant him. I was like,
no. Henry Cavill gets to say what Henry Cavill wants to fucking say. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I thought what he said was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought it was a great statement. I think James Gunn released the statement around the same time.
What did he say about it?
Similar, they spoke with him and told him the direction that they were going in, and hope to work with him down the road, kind of thing. And they do appreciate it. It was like a pretty long thing, but it was very professional, and like we're still on good terms. We've already spoken after this. Both of them are fine, kind of thing. It just sucks because it's like his agency and management told him in October.
I was just gonna say
you're going to be Superman, and
he made the announcement in October. That's what I read.
So, but then they made the announcement after that James Gunn and I forget, is it Elliot? Yeah. I forget the other guy's name that took over with him.
The guy Peter Safran. Is that what you're talking about? Because that's what it says. The meeting with James Gunn and Peter Safran. I have sad news. That's what I mean. I think certain people like taking it too emotional. Where it's like, yeah, dude, like.
Well, yeah, I mean,
whatever the case. What do you think happened behind closed doors though? Because they're not really saying, like, everyone's being real professional and cool about it, which is great. But it's like, you know what I mean?
I think they probably had a cordial conversation about it, and I think it's totally fine to be sad about like your favorite character or actor playing a character that you like not being able to do that again. But the people that are logical about it are like, this is a bummer, but I trust James Gunn because he has yet to miss, and everything he's done has been an excellent project, and so let's just trust the process.
Has he not missed at all?
I mean,
I feel like we should look that up.
Suicide Squad, Peacemaker.
Yeah, but
both Guardians of the Galaxy, Guardians Special. I know I'm missing another big one already, but like he's done multiple DC and Marvel.
But wasn't there nothing before? He just came out the gate with Guardians.
I don't think those were his very first movies, but I'm in terms of the comic book world. That's everything.
Yeah. No, he's a great filmmaker, and that's why I'm just wondering, like, behind closed doors, like, what? Because I thought Henry Cavill was like a fucking pretty killer Superman. I know they're not the best films, but fucking dude,
I don't think
he got sauced and looked like a pretty cool goddamn Superman. Like,
so. James Gunn's job would be to come in and be like, okay, you're the head of DC now.
Right.
And he left being, making so much money, doing so well, having great rights at Marvel, to come and fix what the mistakes are, what like the heads of DC were doing and Warner Brothers. So it's hard for you to go in and fix those mistakes by kind of like band-aiding your thing way through it.
Yeah, I understand.
You have to scrap it and start over.
Oh, I agree with that, but that's what I mean. Like, you think Henry Cavill was just like not down with like? That's what I'm saying. Like, they're not saying what the.
No, they did. It's an age situation. They're doing a young Superman.
Got you. They did say that's what I'm asking. I didn't see that.
That was the whole point of it. Yeah, it's not like we don't like you as Superman. It was like, no, we're starting it as a
young dude.
Young, and like he's gonna announce in January all the characters and movies or a lot of them that they're planning to do, and they're gonna do. I think all the major.
You've read up on it more, bro. I haven't.
Yeah, of course.
I haven't read up. I just saw the statements from Cavill. It's like, that was pretty cool what he said.
Yeah.
Where it's like Superman will go on. It's kind of corny, but it's like Superman.
But that Superman is corny, so it's kind of like.
So that's what I'm saying. Like you fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
And that was like that's what I mean. I saw a bunch of, like you said, fans kind of just going fucking crazy over it. It's like.
The ones that were crazy that were just like, James Gunn sucks and this is bullshit. He should, and it's like, what? Jesus Christ. Like,
I didn't even know what you said, and I was still like, yeah, it is what it is. Like, maybe, the schedule doesn't work. Like, they're very famous, like busy fucking guys.
It's just they're taking a different route, and so it's like they're not doing the Snyderverse. They're not doing all these other people.
Fucking suck.
They're not doing Robert Pattinson's Batman. Isn't going to be in his like MCU. I think Matt Reeves will continue to make like his own Batman movie
with Pattinson.
Like our Pat is not. Sorry, MCU, the DCU.
Yeah. I got you.
But Batman, he did say, is going to be a massive part of it, too. So we'll see how he decides to take that
that's where I'm at.
story.
Like, who gives a fuck where it's like, okay, in James Gunn's world, we're going to recast these characters. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. But it's not only James Gunn's world now. That is that DC EU or DCU, whatever it is.
But is he going to do those movies, or is he just ahead of the creative team? See, that's where, like, kind of bugs me.
He's the head. He's not directing every movie. There's no way.
Well, of course not. But there's, like, what I like to do is, like, how Favre had Iron Man. Mm-hmm. Certain things where it's like let him do that and like let that, you know what I mean? Like James Gunn cutting in on other directors.
Well, Kevin Feige does it for every MCU movie. He cuts in.
Does he?
That's kind of like the reason they've been so successful.
That's why I was like, that name seems fucking familiar. I've seen it in all the movies. Okay.
Yeah, so he's really hands on. And
he puts his fucking 2 cents in.
Yeah, and I also think he lets his guys cook, but.
Well, that's more.
He also was like, this is where we're going, and this is a story we're telling. So he's the world building, just like James Gunn will be world building and overseeing.
He's like the Vince Gilligan, right?
Sure.
Like,
I guess.
How do you say his name?
Vince Gilligan from Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Well, he created that world. There's other creators, like David Chase for
But there's different directors, different writers for stories, all that kind of.
Yeah. It's always it's almost like the MCU and these like like Star Wars or whatever. It's like they've met what The Sopranos was.
Yeah.
Where it's like multiple episodes for multiple seasons. Mm-hmm. And now they have to have a creative head with all these, almost like the, capos and the fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's pretty crazy, like how they come together where it's like Breaking Bad's a perfect example. Like maybe he knew the end. Like he had they filled what, like 5 seasons?
I think he was saying he didn't know, like he went into every season not necessarily knowing exactly what the next season was going to have. And so, they would storyboard, of course, a full season, but they wouldn't go too far beyond that. I'm sure they did a few plot points beyond that, but from what I recall, they didn't go too far beyond that.
He's fucking pretty great. Like, a lot of people, the El Camino, did you see that one?
Of course.
What did you think of that one?
It was good. The problems were it came out so long after the Breaking Bad finale, and Jesse looks so different now. Yeah. Like, his head is twice the size as it used to be.
Yeah, it's always tough, right?
And so, like, that part's tough. I think the story was good and this and that. I just, it's too late. That's all.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it. It was like a standalone, I thought. Yeah. It was in that same world, but it was just like, he's such a good creator that it's like, it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just interesting. Like the first episode alone could be a standalone film, I thought. If you remember that first episode starts at the end where he's like confessing to his family, I'm sorry.
It's like the first season, he kind of made, I don't think he knew that he was going past anything in that. So, sorry, my dog.
Yeah,
anyway,
I got you. No. Well, that's what, I mean.
The first season could have been is like a perfect 6 episodes, like almost like a long movie.
Yeah, I feel like the way, it's crazy. I wonder how these creators, it's like not knowing that this is going to become what it was, like whether it's Sopranos or Breaking Bad, or it's like this is a creative dude who has an idea, like hey, let's make a fucking pilot, and then it becomes this cultural movement. Yeah. So it's like you got to like now develop the show as you go.
It's so hard to predict, So it's like you just gotta.
Well, I love hearing those backstories, like how those guys come up with like how Walt played. Like Bryan Cranston came up as a comedic actor.
Yeah,
and you forget that because he was so good and menacing as Walter White. Yeah.
I want you to handle it.
Yeah, but I mean, he didn't start menacing though. It just became menacing. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what I think,
which is very interesting.
Yeah, it was similar like Robin Williams. Like, why he was so good in dramatic roles because he like was comedic and endearing.
Yeah.
And Cranston's great, dude.
Cranston's fantastic.
Yeah.
And he didn't really have much of a like comedic bone in Breaking Bad, so to see him in Seinfeld as Tim Whatley and then Walter White in Breaking Bad, it's like 2 different people.
Yeah.
Especially Tim Whatley's almost like a ginger, too.
He's very much a ginger, like the way they play that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was, like I said, watching Seinfeld now, and so like to see
really
him,
funny.
Like being, fucking Cranston. Like everyone who's anybody did Seinfeld.
Oh, well, half of the Breaking Bad cast is in there. His wife, Skyler, she dated Jerry in an episode.
Right, okay, I do remember that now.
And
that's crazy.
Yeah, no, there's
probably
Saul dated Elaine.
Oh, that's Bob Odenkirk, dude.
Yeah, well, yeah. So he was Saul.
No,
and,
he's fucking.
But I mean,
great.
all these people, they were all on Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But did Vince Gilligan? He's in charge of Saul, right? Like he's the main creator of there too.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I've heard people say they like that more than.
I haven't finished it. I'm like 2 seasons behind, but it is just as good. It's just really good writing and good acting. It's like
Sure. Well, that's what I mean.
Seems like, that's the key to unlock things. Just good writing and acting. So easy, but it's so hard to find. Yeah,
well, that's what I was.
Just does such a good job.
Yeah. Back to the original point of having like just creative people do projects and trust them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like in the MCU, I don't know if it's tough, but it's like you got to now adhere to like your boss, I guess. But I guess
unpredictability is hard to get.
Sure.
Like when you're watching something that's really easy, typically in this day and age, to be like, I can see where this is going.
Yeah.
And like Gilligan does a good job of, you have no idea which road this is going to take, and you can have a lot of predictions, and you're typically wrong. And I love that.
Well, I think he did, like you were saying, if that's true, where he was making it up as they were progressing. It's like allowed him to do that.
Yeah. I mean, like if you do a season at a time, it gives you a lot more freedom.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I thought like the way they did Walt going back and forth on good guy, bad guy, like it was like they did that, like kind of keeping you like, what is he going to do? Because he did do some pretty sinister shit. Right?
Well, yeah, he's the first person I could think of in a show that started as the protagonist and ended up as the bad guy. Like typically, you can kind of see an opposite. Like, oh, you start off, this guy's a bad guy, and like by the end of the movie, you're like, oh, this guy's kind of a good guy. But in Breaking Bad,
well, they did that with Pinkman,
like,
and they switched kind of spots, I guess.
Yeah, and like, oh, you're the hero of this story, and you're suffering from cancer, and you want to get your family this, and you were a teacher, and all these negative things happened to you. And it's like a little more, and it's like, man, you just became, you're a terrible person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so in what season? No, I mean, they're selling meth. They're selling meth. Like that decision.
There's so many
like
people dying. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but like the decision. So that's my point. Is like, what point did you're like, hey, Walt's not a good guy, and you're like, what season did it take? Because to me, it was like once you make the decision to like sell meth,
mean, the thing
he
that
murked
sticks
those
out
two
to me
dudes.
The most was
like, you're leaning that way.
Was
Episode
letting
one.
Jesse's girlfriend die.
Oh, that's when I
she's
said
choking on her vomit. And
well, that's where I was like the more sinister things. Where it was like that moment.
Yeah, where you're willing to sacrifice human life.
The poisoning of the kid, or
things like that.
Or it's like, no, he's a bad dude. But that's what I'm saying. Like, at what point for you?
It was gradual.
It's like when you look,
but he
gets worse and worse. But to me, it's like when you step into that realm. It's like Goodfellas, right? Like they're all kind of pieces of shit or bad guys, but like you like some of them more. Like people who sell meth and like he killed people the first episode. He's defending himself, so it's like he's not the worst guy, and he's doing it for a good cause. So you're on board. But it's like he wasn't. Yeah, he was defending himself. He was getting robbed, so it's like fuck these guys. Mm-hmm. But his end goal was to sell this meth to the community. Not a good dude.
No,
that's all I'm saying.
It's never
a good dude. It was kind of like a world of bad dudes. Does that make sense? Or it's like.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
But it was just a gradual shift.
Sure, it was a gradual worse.
He is a good dude.
He's a worse and worse.
He's a good dude doing a bad deed, is what it
He's a good dude in a bad world. That's what I'm saying. Like the mobster shows we watch, it's like those are all bad guys.
Sure,
but like you're like, oh, he's a good guy. But it's like, no, they're in a world of crime and fucking being a piece of shit. But no, I mean, it's a great show. I just really enjoy it.
Yeah,
and I think with the Saul, what I've heard, I haven't watched it yet, but it's like they were able to make these groundbreaking characters in Breaking Bad, right? Like, name them. Like, there's a dozen of them. And then they were able to bring them back in Saul. Like, the twins and all these guys were like, oh, man, I wish he was in it more.
Right.
And you're able to hear fan criticism or just characters you liked as a creator.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's do that again.
Yeah.
So it's, like, pretty cool. I haven't watched it, but Odenkirk's the man.
You haven't seen any of it?
No. Because I like, you know me, dude, I like to...
I mean, it's done now.
That's my point. Or it's like, it's done now. So it's like, I don't have to, I can just watch it through. And yeah, Bob Odenkirk is he was one of my favorite characters in Breaking Bad. All right?
Yeah.
Did you know he wrote, of course, Chris Farley's Van Down by the River skit?
I don't remember. I didn't know. I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Odenkirk's like a legend, dude. You look more and more into him, you're like, oh, he's the fucking man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote that
show with David Cross.
Yeah, yeah. What was Mr. Show? I think that's what I've never seen that.
Mr. Show. That's what it was.
But everyone, like
I've
Guys
seen a
older
couple
enough.
skits from it, but I haven't seen any of the episodes. I think it's on HBO now, so I was going to check it out.
Oh, is it?
So it was like right before my generation.
That's what I mean. Like, I feel like guys like 5 to 10 years older
Yeah.
than us are like, dude, that show.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like we just missed it.
Yeah. He did cameos for Seinfeld, Arrested Development, like all these other different kinds of things.
And then like
never thought he could have the acting chops that he did.
with Saul.
So it was, it's nice to see when people take comedians for granted, like comedic actors, because that's the hardest thing to do, in my opinion.
You think so?
I think so. I think it's much more difficult to make a funny movie than it is to make a drama.
Yeah, like a good funny movie.
And like actually, and like
Sure.
the acting it's difficult. It's not easy.